This is Ivano-Frankivsk, a city located in the western Ukraine. On a cold winter evening in December 2015, a strange thing happened that was never reported before. Inside the city's power control center, workers were preparing to end their workday. But just as one worker was organizing papers at his desk, the cursor on his computer suddenly moved across the screen of its own, towards buttons that control the circuit breakers at the electric substation, and then clicked on it to take it offline. A dialog window popped on the screen asking to confirm the action, and the worker stared dumbfounded as the cursor glided to the box and then clicked the confirm button. An incident that affected 30 substations in total and left more than 200,000 people in complete blackout for nearly 6 hours. Then, in May 2021, US President Joe Biden declared an emergency in 17 states due to a cyber attack on the computer systems of the US Colonial Pipeline Network. This 5,500 miles long pipeline is crucial as it helps to move oil from the Gulf of Mexico to the East Coast states of the US. The pipeline had to shut down to prevent the ransomware from spreading, which caused a shortage of oil for a few days, causing price rise and affecting consumers and airlines in the East Coast states of the US. Then, this year in January, a cyber attack on 17 oil terminals in Germany and Amsterdam Rotterdam Antwerp oil hub affected the loading and unloading of refined cargoes, which was largely automated. This impacted the flow of oil products such as heating oil, diesel, and jet fuel, and affected operations in Germany, Europe's biggest oil consumer. These were some attacks that were reported. But several cyber attacks are never reported due to organization policies or fears of reputation, and at times, these attacks may even go undetected. Energy systems became the number one target, with 16% of all cyber attacks worldwide in 2019, far more than the previous leading categories, which were financial services and factories. But why are energy infrastructures becoming the main target of cyber attacks? Energy infrastructure plays a crucial role in functioning of modern economies. They form the backbone of everything that a country needs, like businesses, industries, healthcare, social communities, and many more. According to the US Department of Energy, cybersecurity in energy sector is one of the nation's most important and complex national security challenges, with energy infrastructure a key target for adversaries. The seriousness of this statement can be realized by comparing it with the traditional military wars. Energy infrastructures are the first targets of adversaries and then disrupting the transportation system. This causes internal instabilities in the target country and paralyzes them to give any retaliation. The cyber attack in Ukraine, which we discussed in the starting, happened during the Russia-Ukraine war, which started in February 2014. This attack was attributed to a Russian Advanced Persistent Threat Group known as Sandworm. No wonder why NATO describes cyber attacks as hybrid wars. Cyber threats to energy systems are increasing because attacks are becoming more sophisticated and energy systems are becoming more vulnerable. Much of this comes from the digitalization of energy systems. To understand this, the grid operators in the Ukraine attack restored power by sending in employees to control breakers manually, rather than working from a digital operating system. But such an intervention may no longer be possible in the increasingly digital grids like the ones in the Western Europe and the US. But why are energy systems going digital? The digitalization of energy systems is part of a wider energy transition to drive efficiency and flexibility that can help lower the carbon emissions. For example, in many countries, artificial intelligence is being used to monitor the energy demand and weather forecast, which is then used to predict the required and likely power output from renewable energy sources, making it easier to balance the grid. The COVID-19 pandemic further fueled this transformation. Virtually overnight, oil and gas companies were forced to work remotely. Wide implementation of sensors to automate and remotely manage systems was done, and a distributed and decentralized architecture was adopted. Infrastructure components, from generating electricity to supplying local grid, were divided into individual devices that can be engineered into a wide network of remotely managed devices. But from a security lens, dividing these devices meant an increased area of exposure to cyber attacks if not managed properly. In simple words, distributed devices can worsen the cybersecurity. In the globalized power market, energy systems are made with components from all over the world. These components are used in both the supply and demand sides of electricity. For example, in European Union, the photovoltaic inverters used in solar plants came from a huge number of companies, but noticeably, the Chinese company Huawei and Sungrow led the market share. Similarly, equipment related to wind turbines, solar panels, semiconductors, and electronics was imported from China, amounting to $168 billion in total. Now, if we see the report compiled by the FBI, more cyber attacks originate from China than everywhere else combined. What's worse is that many of these components are used in smart household appliances with high power usage, like air conditioners, heaters, personal EV chargers, and more. These devices may contain personal data, which takes the case to a whole new level. Now, the problem is that some manufacturers may have direct access to these components. A recent study reveals that, with the help of the publicly available data, the high power devices discussed can be used to launch large scale coordinated attacks on power grid, which can result in local power outages and, in worst cases, large scale blackouts. But even now, the matter isn't completely out of hands. Let's see some steps that can be taken to protect the energy systems from cyber attacks. Protecting energy systems starts from the very basics, ensuring that energy components meet the minimum security criteria and are certified by a trusted entity. These components should go through various compliance tests to ensure that security designs are followed by the manufacturers, and this should be implemented across the entire supply chain. But the most crucial step is to protect the traditional energy systems. These systems run on outdated softwares that have high risk of foreign intrusions. According to a study on softwares used across 5 million websites, 95% of them were using outdated versions. 60% were found to have security vulnerabilities, and on average, software products were 4 years behind the latest update. Instead, large public clouds where systems remain updated with regular patches should be preferred for deploying certain services. For decentralized energy systems, security design should be implemented horizontally across each device in the network. This helps to limit the effects of a cyber attack. For example, if a wind farm falls victim to a cyber attack, limiting the malware to a few wind turbines is less damaging than taking down the whole system. In practical terms, a full prevention of cyber attacks may not be possible, but energy systems can be made more resilient. Backups like fast starting gas power plants can secure power supplies when a cyber attack on energy systems happen. This completes the discussion on how modern cyber attacks threaten nations and civilizations and the steps that can be taken to minimize the effects. All references, articles, or research journals used in making this video are mentioned in the description as a pastebin link. Please refer to them for more information.